Hello and welcome back to very sunny Norfolk. It's 21st of June today. It's about 8:30 in the morning at the minute, and according to my weather station it's 23 degrees C already, which is quite exceptional for this part of the world. Um, the weather forecast says it's going to be the hottest day of the year so far today, so I thought I'd film the video early and we'll have a quick tour around the garden in late June. As we walk up here, tetrapanics, it's in a pot. Came from my last garden, taken over doing quite well. The leaves and the whole plant never get quite so big in a pot. Other bits and pieces that are still waiting for a home. Aloe strilata, although I believe they've changed the name recently on that one. Getting flower buds. Still in a bucket, as you can see. What else have we got? Hostas. Chephalias here waiting for a space in the garden. I think this one, although as you can see I've had it a while and the label has worn off, I believe that's Nova. Is waiting to go in the ground when I find a space. Interestingly, I picked this one up. Let me see if I can get it for you. Isn't that lovely? Look at that. Chephalia, they call it mountain gem, but it's alpina. Absolutely fantastic plant. How much did I pay? I paid £18.99. It's really wonderful plant. Look at the, if I can get you in there, the delicate growth in the middle there as it's coming through. I had one of these many years ago, well, several years ago, in my old garden. I paid an absolute fortune for it at the time. It was planted for 3 years, 4 years, doing well. It was up to shoulder height. Fantastic. I went on holiday for a week. Talking of hot days, we had a really hot week of weather, record-breaking heat. When I returned home, I had a Chephalia tyroniana, which was tree-like proportions, up to the second floor windows of my house where the old garden was. That looked like someone had thrown weed killer over it. The leaves were brown and looked really horrible. Alpina, the other end of the garden, looked even worse, and it never recovered, to be fair. So it took the cold fine for the period I grew it, but just be aware if you do grow one and we get extreme heat. I think I had it in too much sun, but I'd give it some shade. Part shade would probably be the best position for that lovely plant. But yes, that's waiting to go in the garden. Brassiops mitis is doing its thing with its fantastic shaped leaves. Look at them, like snowflakes. There again, I really want to get that in the garden, but at the moment I haven't got the right space, so I'm growing it on in a pot, and the space will become available. At some point I'm going to do a bit of a redesign of the garden, create some more beds, but for this year I'm just going to leave it as it is unless I find time to do it. Anyway, let's press on. The spiky bed. I'm really pleased with the spiky bed. I put it in earlier in the year. There is a video on my channel somewhere if you want to check that out. It's basically 20 mil all in gravel, and the plants are planted into that and seem to be doing well in it, to be fair. There's a mixture along here. Yucca rostrata. I did a video on this. It's flowering. I asked the question, should I let it flower? The general consensus seemed to be yes, let it flower. I was a bit concerned that the flower spike would get too tall and it'd blow over, seeing as it hadn't been in this bed that long to get its roots down. But in the back of my mind, I always wanted to let it flower, let nature take its course. But it's looking quite good so far. Quite how tall the spike will become before the flowers open, I'm not sure, but that's half of the beauty of this type of gardening. Growing something new that you're not sure about and seeing what unfolds. Agave, oh, Montana, is it? Yeah. Anyway, this was looking a bit worse for wear after I planted it. As you can see, some of the leaves, although they're not showing it quite as much now, turned really red. It didn't like going into this bed. But I've been watering it, not loads, just enough, and it seems to be pulling round, to be fair, which is promising. I've also taken the opportunity, as you can see, to put some pots out for the summer on here. Things that need to go back into the greenhouse for the winter because they're a bit on the tender side, just filling the gaps out until some of the plants get bigger and fill them out naturally. But some of the old pumpkins and things I've planted are putting on new growth, as you can probably see there, so it's definitely moving along out of the bed, which is great. Let's wander this way briefly. I'll do another video over here where the colocasias are. These have all spent the winter outside and they're all back again now doing their thing, but I'll do a separate video on them and we'll take a look at what's growing well and what's happening with them. If we swing around this way, the trellis I put up a while ago is they've been planted up and they're growing away. It's going to be a little while before they get up there. Various other bits and pieces in pots. There again, some waiting for a space in the garden, some just growing along in pots nicely. Musa Basdew is now pushing on. It's got 1, 2, 4 leaves now, and there's another one coming, so I keep watering that. Water's slightly more of a problem in this garden than the old one. I'm on a water meter here. The last garden didn't have a water meter, so it didn't really matter when I irrigated. But here I have to be a bit more cautious with the watering, should I say. What else have I put in? Ah, yes. I purchased this earlier in the year. This is Insect Montrabellii, introduced by, or originally reintroduced by David Constantine of Cova Nurseries. And we'll see another one of his introductions in a minute. Or should I say, introductions to general horticulture. But yes, anyway, I digress. This is said to be a lot better than the ordinary red banana people grow, Insect Morellii. This one is bigger, the leaves are slightly more wind resistant, and it's said to overwinter better. Not grown it before, so that'll be interesting, but if it continues its present rate of growth, it could be something of a monster. Right, let's push on. Butiagrius is doing well. I planted it out earlier in the year. If we look in the middle, can you see the new fronds coming through, leaves coming through, are a lovely green colour. The older ones, these ones, are slightly yellowed, brown, burnt. I find when palms have been imported from hotter climates, no matter what you do, when you plant them out, they're going to look horrible for a little while. The old leaves that were grown in either a tunnel or a warmer climate dislike our climate. The new ones, as they come through, seem to adjust better. They keep their colour better and they grow better. So I'm not concerned about these yellow and bottom leaves. The spear in the middle looks lovely and healthy. The leaves look lovely and healthy. What they'll look like after the winter remains to be seen. But if I stand back, if it inherits, the palm is a cross between a boutia palm and a queen palm. Queen palms have a totally different look to most palms we can grow in this country, hardy palms, and if it inherits enough of the queen palm, it's going to be a fantastic plant. I realise long term the palm and the banana are too close, but I'll let this continue. As long as the palm lives for a few years and gets bigger and bigger, eventually, if need be, I'll move the Musa Basdew rather than the palm. What else have we got? Foxgloves. The foxgloves are, I let them seed about. I like them. I think they add something to the garden. I let them seed about, do their thing, and then I'll take them out later. But yes, they grow in cracks and crevices and anywhere they can get, really. Talking of cracks and crevices, I inherited this plant, whose name escapes me at the minute. When I moved into or started gardening here a couple of years ago, well, we got the bungalow 3 years ago, but I've only really been gardening for 2. It was a nice little clump, but if we look now, everywhere you look, you can see it. It's slowly making a takeover bid, slowly moving down the bed, and it's not shallow rooted. When you dig a hole, you can find the roots from it 6 inches, a foot below the surface of the soil. It's a bit of a thug, to be honest. I let it run a bit to start with because I thought it added to the look, but I'm beginning to wonder now whether I should try to contain it somewhat. But that's a decision for another day. Tetrapanics, Papafire Rex, stand back. It's fallen out lovely now. It's got 2 heads, the head split, so it's got 2 growing points now going up. It's an absolutely wonderful looking plant. T-Rex, you see it sold as in garden centres, nurseries. This is the correct original form, really deep grooved leaves, and the leaves become massive. If I put my hand in, you'll see that I can't really pull out far enough for you to get the scale, but they're big leaves, big leaves. It was named, not the Tetrapanics Papafire bit, but the T-Rex, I believe, was coined by Paul Spracklin, who used to run, for those of you who can remember back that far, before we had Facebook and the like, we used to have exotic plant forums. He used to run the UK Oasis, as it was then known, the go-to place for information on exotic plants in those days. I learnt more from there in a year than I'd learnt in the previous 5 trying to select and grow plants on my own. A great coming together of knowledge that was. Sad loss when it finished. Anyway, yes, he coined the phrase T-Rex, and if you look, you can see why. So yes, wonderful plant. If you're going to have an exotic garden and you've got the space, grow one. You can get them tall enough to get them up over head height, so they're not really in the way. They provide dappled shade if that's what you want. Wonderful plant. Pseudophanics, Moe's toes doing well. Schaffelia, rhododendrofolia is putting on a new flush in the sunlight there. Lovely. Trachycarpus princeps. I think the best thing to say is, wow, look at the underneath of the leaves. And it's slow but steady, I think is the best way to put it. It's not the fastest growing Trachycarpus by any means, but a wonderful plant. Right, let's if we stand back a bit. The tree ferns have now flushed. They're all looking lush and green, and I'm happy to report that the one I kept fretting wasn't going to get any new fronds is really done its thing. And there they are, numerous new green fronds, and it looks absolutely wonderful. The one I've moved a couple of times even since I moved it to my new gardens, but is now residing here, showing no ill effects, new fronds on it. There's a bit of a bendy trunk one, as you can see. It goes in, it's planted in there and then bends out. It's doing well. What else have I got to show you? Manioc graminale. I really want to grow this plant. Well, it's overwintered in the greenhouse. Did fine. I brought it out. I let the weather warm up in the spring. I brought it out. I think I put it in too much sun. All the leaves yellowed up. Most of them are dropped off now, but if we look at the bases here, you can see where they were. They all yellowed up and dropped off. It's a fickle plant. I think you need to find just the right position for it, which seems to be semi-shade or shade for me. I have tried it in various other places, but doesn't like it. It's now sat here for a month or so, and the leaves are now a really nice greeny colour. It's putting on new growth and growing well. So the beauty of keeping things in a pot for a few years is you can try them in different positions, see what looks right, see what grows well. So that's what I'll be doing with that. I'll stay in the pot again this year. If it puts on enough woody stem, which I think they need to survive, and it's big enough next year, I'm going to put some new beds in. So I'll have a bit more space to move things about where I want them, and this might be planted next year. What else? Gunnera. It's sitting here slowly doing its thing, is the honest thing to say about it. I don't want huge leaves. That was never the idea when I planted it. The idea was to have big leaves in this bed, just poking out and overhanging slightly. It's a raised bed, so it's never going to have soaked and wet feet. I give it enough water just to keep it ticking over and grow, but I don't want it being massive, is the honest answer. So far it seems to be working as the years go on. If that continues to work, all the good. If not, I'll have to think about a move or removing it, but at present I'm quite happy with how that's going. As you can hear, if you can hear the wind chimes, it's quite a windy day today. Although it's very warm, it's also windy, which just dries everything out a little bit more, to be honest. Right, let's press down this way. There's a B&M trachycarpus still in the pot, just stood filling a space, to be honest, until I do get round to sorting the new beds out, but it's doing fine. If it's anything like the other one that it's on a video when I planted it, they have a good root system. I've heard people say, oh, they take ages to root, but the ones I've had, I can only speak for the ones I've had, have all had good root systems and have shown no ill effects, and they're all putting on new growth. Walk this way. Bergmansia, stroke the terror, whichever you want to call them, is in flower. Not a huge plant by any means, but look at the buds on this waiting to open up. What a fantastic flower they are as well. Nicely scented, especially at night. Lovely flower, that. On such a tiny plant, that is really value for money on the flower front. Pond is carrying on doing its thing. The arum lily is Hercules, this one is. Absolutely fantastic. If you look in there, wonderful flowers. I was removing the spent flowers, but I then had a change of mind. What I'm going to do is leave one or two or more, and hopefully they'll set some seed that I can sow. I was going to try and divide a bit because I want a bit for the front garden, but I think I might try it from seed if I can get some seed. So I'll leave that to do its thing and see how we go. The pond is chugging away. Another colocasia in there. There's pink china. It's in there last year. I did lift it for the winter, stood it in the greenhouse and then put it back in the spring, but in all honesty, I think if it was deep enough in the water it might come back. I might try that this year. Now I've got a few spares available and just see how it does, but you look closely, you can see it's started as one plant, it's now become, there's several babies coming up, so might be worth a try. But yes, I like the sound of running water in a garden, adds a certain something. Cycad, it's going to flush, I think. If you look in the middle there, you can just see the new leaves, fronds, whatever you want to call them, emerging. So yes, that's going to get some new leaves this year. And set Haniba, as you can see, didn't like the cooler weather when I first planted it out. Got this rucked type appearance. It's like marks on the leaves. And then we had a bit of a period of prolonged cooler weather. I mistimed it really, but it soldiered on. And if we look now, that leaf is near on perfect. Another one coming. That's it's into a stride now and going well. So hopefully that should fill out and look nice soon. Everything you see along here was left in all winter. Colocasias, cannas. I think that one's Russian red. There's some gingers. Yeah, I think the next one is Musifolia canna. So yes, they've all come back and done their thing. I think they benefit from a little bit of heat from the greenhouse in the spring. It generates heat, transfers it out to that bed, and away they go. European fan palm that I've been fretting about as well since I moved it. Look up here. I had one leaf earlier in the year, which the wind snapped off, a good one. All the rest were brown. All of a sudden, it's got a lovely head, crown of new leaves coming through, so that should definitely be all right. Even appears, well, it is flat. It has flowered. Whether they're seeds, I'm not sure, but it's definitely flowered this year. Alstroemeria, Indian summer. It's now started flowering. It's forming a lovely clump now, and that will go on flowering for most of the summer, to be fair. So yeah, that's a real good value for money plant, that is. Yucca rostrata. This was another bargain B&M purchase. Still in its pot. As you can see, good trunk on it, good root system. Lovely looking plant, that. I've got another arid bed I've been creating in the front garden, so it may end up out there eventually, but I think for the time being, I rather like it where it is. It sort of fills the space. There was a big old tree where I stood. This was sawn off when I arrived at the garden. It's got a slab on top of it, and it just sits on top of there nicely and looks quite well in the garden. So, is that... Oh, let's walk this way. I nearly forgot. We'll have a quick look round here before we go. Pineapple lilies. See, the flowers are now starting to come up. Really nice, them. Really nice. Another Bergmansia. It's a different colour one. I think this one is white from memory. I can't remember. It's not actually in flower yet, but got some lovely buds coming as well. Bit more various bits and pieces potted up, waiting to go in. So if we just sit for a minute, where I sit to have my cup of tea in the morning, and it's becoming quite a nice view now, to be fair. Plan is, over there at some point, I'm going to mirror the raised bed you see on the left there. I'm going to mirror that and bring it round back towards facing here to create some more planting space. Possibly mark out a circular lawn here. But that's the great thing about gardening. There's always something to change, something new to plant. Change the direction slightly. My old garden was a jungle garden. When I started planting, I started both sides. and it slowly, I had grass, and I had gravel, then I had less gravel, more plants, then I had more plants, until you basically had to fight your way through the garden because of the overhanging plants and leaves, which is great, but you do have to garden slightly different. Once you get a garden that is like a jungle with massive leaves everywhere, you run out of sun because the huge leaves block all the sun out, so you have to plant more shade tolerant plants. I made a conscious decision when I moved here that I'm not going to do that. I'd like a jungly bit still, which I intend having, but because this garden is bigger and other people use it and would like a lawn, including the dog who likes a bit of space to run around with and play ball, I'm going to garden slightly different. So there will be a jungly bit, there'll be a bit of lawn, and there'll be some other nice features, but that's the great thing about gardens. You get to play things over in your head and decide on your future plans. But for the moment, in June, end of June, on the hottest day of the year, 2025, I'm really pleased with how it's turning out, considering it's basically a 2-year-old garden. I have interplanted it with existing plants to try and keep a bit of maturity, but it's heading in the right direction. Anyway, that's enough of my ramblings for today. Thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. Helps the channel grow. And I'll see you next time at Heathcroft Garden.